this is where I believe the public disdain for CIA comes from. CIA recruits us. Another one of the lessons they tell us is that they recruit us for something known as moral flexibility.
That just sounds horrible.
It just sounds horrible.
Yeah.
It sounds like the book you recommended, right? A billion
wicked thoughts.
A billion
oh my
wicked
God,
thoughts.
That book is so good.
But-
for anybody that has a strong stomach.
When you hear moral flexibility, you have the same reaction, right? Oh, that sounds horrible, but it sounds so good. So moral flexibility is essentially the idea that you can you can shift your ethics and your morals around some other objective, right? If you don't have that, if you have strict morals and strict ethics, you're not going to do well in clandestine operations. You're just not. You have to have flexibility to say.
What becomes your guidepost? Is it protecting Americans?
Yes. It becomes, honestly, as again, this is where people don't like CIA. CIA's mission is American primacy. That's it, right? That's the goal. It goes
I'm a child of the 80s. I love American primacy. I love it the most. I know that's so out of fashion right now.
It is out of fashion.
I think it's crazy. Everybody should want primacy for their own country.
They absolutely should. And if you're an American, the fact that we have the freest country in the world, do we have problems? Yes. Are our problems anywhere like other countries' problems? No.
Spoken by somebody who's been in other countries.
It's nuts, man. It's incredible how people lose perspective. They never gain perspective. They're trapped in their own perception about how bad America is.
Right.
America's messed up. I'm not saying it's not. We're an adolescent country. In the developmental stages of a country, we're just over 250 years old. I think we're just under 250 years old. We're freaking adolescents. We're teenagers. Of course we're all fucked up, right? What teenager do you know that has it all figured out? We've got growing to do, but let's not negate the progress that we've made just because we're not where we want to be yet, right? But either way, moral flexibility is this idea that you can change your personal ethics to fit a larger goal. Ours is American primacy. CIA believes, and the government of the United States believes, that as long as America is the strongest country in the world is a safer place to Americans. If you don't like the way that sounds, then you don't want to work in the government, right? We're not worried about the security of Nigerians. We're not worried about the security of Australians. We're not worried about the freedom of human rights in, Sri Lanka. That's not our first goal. It might be somewhere at like goal 75. Right. Goal number 1, keep Americans safe, give Americans every opportunity to succeed in a world that's dominated by the United States.
It's going to be dominated by somebody.
It's going to be dominated by somebody. Exactly right. So this idea of moral flexibility is a big part of what CIA recruits us to do. They recruit us because we have moral flexibility to make that American primacy mission happen. And then they also teach us that when you are engaging with somebody, a target, and that target has potential value to the mission, sometimes you have to veer from your own ethics about dealing with people to meet them where they are so that you can get into their private and secret life and guide them to where you need them to be.
Did that mess with your head, or do you find that easy?
I found it thrilling. I wouldn't say I found it easy. There's a learning curve there, but it was absolutely thrilling. It's like you said, something you enjoy doing, right? Something that brings you excitement. Learning how to manage people, like manage them on, I say manage. We learned how to manipulate people. That's what CIA taught us how to do. We weren't making friends with these folks, right? You're finding the most powerful, most vulnerable people in the world who have access to secrets that keep Americans safe. That's not a big population. There's really only a small population that has that level of access, that level of secret access, right? You had to find them. You had to befriend them. You had to get into their secret life. You had to get them to commit the safety of themselves and their family to you. And then eventually your real goal is to institutionalize them so that you can basically leave and a junior officer can step in to maintain that relationship.
Do you reveal who you are at some point?
Sometimes. Sometimes you reveal who you are. Sometimes it's better to leave what we call a fig leaf, where they think they know who you are, but they're never really sure. Because if they were sure, they might self-destruct. Right? That's another thing, another predictable human thing. Human beings like to self-destruct. We like to self-destruct.
What?
Yeah, we all carry this self-destruct button on our chest. It's what we say, right? A big red self-destruct button. So When we start to get ourselves into trouble, you start to lie, and then you tell compounding lies because you're trying to get yourself out of the situation that you got yourself into. Inevitably, you're going to land on a point where you're like, I just need to come clean.
Whoa.
That's something that we do, right? And then you've got the people out there who refuse to lie because they're so afraid of that moment that they only tell the truth.
Yeah.
Well, when you only tell the truth, guess what you do?
Whoa. I'm evaluating myself internally like crazy right now. So keep going.
So
Why do we like to self-destruct?
we like to self-destruct because we in our brains we create this low probability outcome where all will be forgiven and we'll be able to reset. What we don't like, people can reinvent. You can always reinvent. You can never reset. There is no, this isn't freaking Nintendo, right? There's no hitting select or start and starting all over again. You just don't get to do that. You got to finish the game. And then you can restart, you can reinvent, you can recreate, but you can't go backwards. You can't reset.
So true.
We keep
so
thinking, we keep thinking that we can reset. We keep thinking that we can go back to the blank slate that you already said never actually existed. We can't. We have to keep playing the game. You can retreat or you can advance, but you can't restart the war. You're in it. You're in it, and you've only got one chance. You've only got one ride on this rock that circles in one direction, right? Time only goes one way until we find out how to do it otherwise. This is just where we are. You've got to accept that reality. You can't perceive something different. You have to accept the reality that you're going where you're going. Two things happen when you accept that reality. The first thing is that you learn that everything that's happened that you would think, that your instinct tells you to just reset and start over, just whitewash it all, reformat the disk, and let's start over again.
So we like to self-destruct because we are misinterpreting the moment.
Right? Because we are telling ourselves a lie in our head, right? We're telling ourselves that it's better to start over than to start where we are.
Wow.
It's never better to start over. You are a fantastic example because you accept it. You are the sum total of all of your experiences, good and bad. You are 0 to 7, 7 to 13, 13 to whatever age you are now. You are all of that sum of all of that experience and all of your learning. You use the mantra, don't forget who you are, or remember who you are. Is that what you say? Remember who I am. What you're really remembering is everything that brought you to where you are. You can't pick and choose. You can't reset it. That is what it is. And it's a fucking superpower. But it's a superpower for everybody. It's a superpower for everybody. I'm nowhere near the financial success that you are. I'm nowhere near the achievement that you've achieved. I'm nowhere near the notoriety that you have. Nowhere near it. But you still invited me to come here. There's something I offer of value that made this conversation interesting and relevant to you. We all have that kind of power, what we call wasta. Wasta is the Arabic word for influence, right? We all have that kind of wasta. We just have to learn to lean into the wasta that we have and leverage it to achieve what we're trying to achieve, to build what we're trying to build. We can't just reset it and start over. We spend so much time, people spend so much time bemoaning their background instead of leveraging it into something amazing, turning it into something productive, right? And what ends up happening is the reason espionage works, the reason business works, is because human beings, laughably predictable human beings, are always unhappy. Edgar Allan Poe said people are never truly happy until they're unhappy. Because you're unhappy, as soon as something makes you happy, you start to worry about when that happiness is going to be taken away by something that makes you unhappy. So you can never actually reach happiness. Your average person is happy as long as they're unhappy, because that's when they're content. They believe, well, everything's miserable. It can't really get worse than this.
That's so weird.
So when in espionage, you're looking for those people. You're always looking for the person who has access to secrets, because once you find the few people who have access to secrets, there's a high probability they're miserable, because everybody's fucking miserable. So then all you have to do is use the skills to get into this miserable person's secret life and make them think that you're doing it because you care about them as a person, when in fact you just care about their access, because what you really are after is American primacy. And then once you get that person to trust you because they bring you into your secret life, you just drain their secrets, feed it back to American legislators, and you prepare this person to be turned over to a new person that they never even let into their secret life in the first place. But now you vouch, what we call advocate, you advocate for this new person who's coming in, which means your trust and your credibility in their secret life is automatically carried on to the person that you introduce them to. They are now what we call institutionalized assets. They don't even realize that their loyalty is not to Tom and Andy. Their loyalty is to CIA, and they don't even realize it.
All while keeping their hand off the self-destruct button.
And because you're keeping their hand off the self-destruct button. Because remember how I was telling you sometimes we leave them a fig leaf? I'm sorry, I'm just rolling here, man. If I'm cutting you off, interrupt me anytime.
No, this is amazing.
When a spy realizes, oh shit, I'm giving away secrets, what they think to themselves is, I need to go self-report. I need to go tell my boss. I need to go tell the police. I need to go tell something, because if I'm caught, especially in the countries that we steal secrets from, if I'm caught, they're going to kill me. They're going to kill my wife. They're going to kill my kids. They're going to kill my parents. They're going to make us all a public spectacle to make sure that nobody ever does this again. So they're stuck between a true rock and a hard place, because they think to themselves, if I self-admit what I'm doing, I might get killed. If I get caught doing what I'm doing, I might get killed. So the self-destruct button they have is to pull away from you, to like go into hiding, and then potentially to leak it at some point in the future. So then you lose access to them immediately. 2 years down the road, they still self-destruct. They still tell somebody, man, this one time I was talking to an American and I accidentally gave him like the codes to our nukes. And I realized that maybe I shouldn't trust him. And then somebody reports them anyways, and families get killed. Jesus. We have to protect them from their own natural instinct. So a big part of why we continue to meet with our assets is so that we can constantly cultivate and train them to resist that urge, right? There's no resetting.
How do you get them to resist that urge? What you're doing is good.
Yes.
I care about you.
Positive reinforcement. What you're doing. Nobody spies for the reason they think they spy. Just like you were saying, people don't want to know about business. People don't want to learn what they need to learn. They want to learn what they want to learn. I'm totally massacring your own quote. Right but people don't spy for the reasons they think they spy. People spy for what's known as a core motivation, right? We call it a core motivation. And there's only 4 core motivations. And they fall into a acronym that we call RICE, R-I-C-E. Rewards is a core motivator. Ideology is a core motivator. Coercion is a core motivator. And ego is a core motivator.
There we go.
Those are it. That's all you got.
Wow.
Every human being is driven in every decision by those 4 things.
Oh, dude, I love these rubrics. These are fantastic.
So when you recruit somebody, when you create a spy, it's all based in one of those 4 areas. You just have to know which of those 4 areas is most relevant to that person. And you'll know which of those 4 areas based on what you know about their 3 stages of life. So this person is ideologically driven. This person is ego driven. This person is reward driven. This person won't do something unless you hold a gun to their face. You just know it, right? And then you test it over time. So when you are managing and handling a human asset, they're a human being. They think that they're giving you secrets because you're their friend. They think that they're in some kind of trusting relationship. Now, maybe you're their friend who also pays them. Maybe you're their friend who encourages them to believe in the power of democracy, and they're in a communist country. Who knows, right? So you're feeding them whatever their core motivation is. But you're also inside their secret life. So you've got the loyalty piece covered, the human response to loyalty, right? The human response to being in someone's secret life is that loyalty, that fealty. You've got that, but you're also feeding them on an incentive basis by hitting their core motivation. So that's the magic 1-2 punch. So that's how you keep someone resourced and charged so that they don't ever press the button that's waiting for them. That self-destruct button is always there. It just takes one bad day, one bad decision, one moment of weakness to press it. That's all you got to do is prevent people from doing that.
Do they believe if they press that button that they'll get more lenient treatment?
Yes. You believe that too, man. You've had that conversation in your own head where you're like, if I just come clean, if I just admit the truth, if I just share whatever, right? Then it'll be less bad than if I don't.
There must be something true-ish about that. Do people actually, like, I'm trying to put this on the scale of like, they're going to kill my family, everyone I know and love. Like, that's so heavy, man. And humans can be gnarly in the extreme. Do they actually get letter treatment? Or is this like a fool's errand?
It's a fool's errand. It's a when you're in a place where that's the risk, you've got it. Like, you have to look at everything through a lens of cultural norms, right? In a country where it's a norm to make a public statement through the mass execution of a family line, which is, that's a country where family name carries a lot of weight. Asian families, family names in Asia carry an incredible amount of weight. Japan, we were just talking, what is Japan all about? Honoring what?
Ancestors.
Everything. So to bring dishonor to the family name is such a heavy thing that the self-destruct button those people might press is execution, is just suicide. Whoa. You know what happens if your asset kills themselves? They stay secure, but you lose a source of information.
Guys, if you like that clip with Andrew Bustamante, trust me, your brain is going to be melted by the entire episode. You can click here to check it out. You're going to love it.
The brain is still wired to live, first and foremost, in this survival mindset, this survival process. So the pink matter that exists in your brain